Before sunrise touches the vast shoulders of South America, a soft mist rises from an ancient river. It drifts upward like the breath of a sleeping giant, curling around emerald canopies and dissolving into the sky. This is the Amazon, more than a river, more than a place. It is the pulse of a living planet. Long before human eyes ever witnessed its grandeur, the Amazon carved its path through stone, soil, and forest, shaping one of the greatest wildernesses on Earth. It moves with a rhythm older than civilization, older than language, older even than the continents as we know them. Each drop that flows through its veins has traveled from mountaintops, clouds, and rains that cycle endlessly through the beating heart of the rainforest. As morning breaks, the forest awakens in waves. Howler monkeys roar like distant thunder. Scarlet macaws streak across the sky in brilliant flashes of red and blue. Invisible insects hum in a chorus that never stops. Beneath the surface of the river, pink dolphins glide through murky currents, and ancient fish the size of humans move through submerged worlds untouched by time. The Amazon is not a single river, but a colossal system. A vast network of life that spans 8 countries, nourishing millions of people and countless species. It is a sanctuary of beauty and danger, of harmony and mystery. And despite its immense power, it remains fragile, balanced on the edge of global change. This is the journey into its story, the story of a river that sustains a world. The Amazon River, often described as the lifeblood of South America, is one of Earth's most extraordinary geographical creations. Its magnitude is so vast that it shapes climates, ecosystems, and civilizations across nearly half of the continent. But the Amazon's story, its true beginnings, trace back millions of years, long before its modern course ever existed. The birth of a giant. The Amazon River originates high in the Peruvian Andes, near a remote peak called Nevado Mismi. Here, in cold, thin air, small trickles of meltwater begin their descent eastward, eventually merging into the Apurimac and Ucayali rivers. These modest streams mark the humble beginnings of what will become the world's largest river by volume. Yet geologically, the Amazon was born in dramatic upheaval. Around 10 to 15 million years ago, the rise of the Andes Mountains altered the entire continent's drainage patterns. Previously, the region consisted of wetlands that drained westward into the Pacific. But as the Andes continued to grow, they formed a massive barrier that forced water to flow eastward. Over millions of years, these waters carved new channels, created new basins, and slowly gave rise to the Amazon's modern course. A basin the size of a subcontinent. Today, the Amazon basin covers roughly 7 million square kilometers, an area larger than the European Union. It spans Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Bolivia, Ecuador, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname. Across these countries, more than 1,100 tributaries feed the main river. 17 of them are over 1,500 kilometers long, each a colossal river in its own right. During the rainy season, the river expands dramatically. In some regions, it can stretch 40 to 50 kilometers across, forming temporary inland seas and seasonal floodplains called varzias. These floodplains serve as nurseries for countless fish species and play a vital role in replenishing nutrients throughout the basin. The river carries an estimated 20% of the world's total freshwater output, discharging so much water into the Atlantic Ocean that it dilutes the sea's salinity for nearly 200 kilometers offshore. A landscape in constant motion. The Amazon is not a static river, it is an ever-changing force. Shifting channels. The river constantly reshapes its banks, carving new paths and abandoning old ones. Islands rise and disappear, sandbars drift, and some river bends migrate several meters every year. The meeting of waters. One of the Amazon's most iconic sites occurs near Manaus, where the dark, acidic waters of the Rio Negro meet the pale, silty waters of the Solimoes River. For nearly 6 kilometers, the two flow side by side without mixing, a natural phenomenon caused by differences in speed, temperature, and sediment load. The Pororoca. Along the Atlantic coast, a powerful tidal bore known as the Pororoca sends towering waves rushing upriver. Surfers ride these waves for kilometers, while the tide reshapes the estuary with unstoppable force. Geology, nourishing life. The Andes continually feed the river with nutrient-rich sediments. These sediments create fertile floodplains that support some of the richest biodiversity on Earth and sustain millions of people who depend on agriculture and fishing. The river's formation was not just a geological event, it was the beginning of a vast ecological engine. The Amazon's existence shaped the rainforest, which in turn shapes global climate patterns through moisture cycles and carbon storage. The Amazon basin is one of the most complex and influential climate systems on Earth, an immense atmospheric engine that breathes moisture, heat, and life across the continent. Spanning millions of square kilometers, this vast tropical region is shaped by rhythms of rain, cycles of flooding, and a delicate balance between land, water, and sky. A climate built on rain and rhythm. At the heart of the basin's climate lies the Intertropical Convergence Zone, a belt of warm, rising air that circles the globe near the equator. Here, the sun's heat drives a constant cycle of evaporation and rainfall. Moisture rises from the forest canopy, condenses into towering clouds, and returns as rain, sometimes gentle, sometimes torrential. The result is an annual rainfall that often exceeds 2,300 millimeters, making the Amazon one of the wettest places on the planet. The Amazon rainforest generates as much as half of its own rainfall. Through a process known as evapotranspiration, billions of trees release water vapor that drifts through the atmosphere like invisible rivers. These flying rivers carry moisture far beyond the basin, influencing weather patterns in the Andes, the Caribbean, and even southern regions of Brazil and Argentina. The power of seasonal flooding. Despite being near the equator, the Amazon has distinct wet and dry seasons. During peak rains, water levels rise dramatically, sometimes by as much as 15 meters. Entire forests become submerged, transforming the landscape into a world where fish swim among tree trunks and monkeys leap between branches that barely graze the water's surface. These flooded forests, known as varzea, are crucial ecological zones. Their nutrient-rich waters support massive fish populations, including migratory species like the tambaqui and pirarucu. Meanwhile, blackwater floodplains, or igapo, with their dark, tea-colored waters, host specialized species adapted to low-nutrient environments. The interplay between terra firme, non-flooded forests, and floodplain ecosystems creates a mosaic of habitats that support staggering biodiversity. Ecosystems of the basin. The Amazon basin is not a single ecosystem, but a constellation of interconnected environments, each sustaining life in unique ways. Terra firme forests. These upland rainforests make up most of the basin. They are dense, towering, and ancient, with canopies that can reach nearly 60 meters in some areas. Their soils are surprisingly poor, but millions of years of nutrient recycling through leaf litter sustain an astonishing array of plant and animal species. Flooded forests. Seasonally submerged ecosystems where water dictates every aspect of life. Trees develop stilt-like roots to survive months underwater. Birds track flooding patterns for feeding and nesting. Entire fish species have evolved to eat fruits that fall from flooded trees. Rivers, streams, and lakes. The Amazon's waterways form a pulsating network that links the entire region. Sediment-rich whitewater rivers contrast with blackwater and clearwater tributaries, each hosting different communities of fish and aquatic plants. Savannas and wetlands regions. Like the Llanos de Moxos in Bolivia and the Rupununi savannas in Guyana, are seasonal wetlands that flood extensively, creating habitats for giant otters, capybaras, and migratory birds. A climate under pressure. Climate change now threatens the Amazon's delicate balance. Rising temperatures increase the frequency of droughts, weakening rainforest resilience. Reduced rainfall risks turning large areas into savanna-like landscapes. Deforestation compounds the problem. Fewer trees mean less moisture in the atmosphere, weakening the flying rivers that sustain the entire basin. The Amazon is not just reacting to climate, it is shaping climate. And as the climate changes, the entire world feels the impact. If the Amazon River is the continent's great artery, then its rainforest is the beating heart, a living cathedral of unimaginable diversity. It is home to more than 10% of the world's known species, many of which exist nowhere else on Earth. Life here fills every layer, every shadow, and every drop of water. A forest built on layers. From the dark leaf litter of the forest floor to the sunlit heights of the emergent canopy, the Amazon is structured in layers, each with its own creatures and relationships. The forest floor. This is a world of decomposition and renewal. Leafcutter ants march in endless columns, carrying pieces of leaves that they use to cultivate fungus, their primary food source. Jaguars move silently through the underbrush, their spotted coats blending with dappled light. Tapirs, the largest land mammals of the region, wander along muddy riverbanks, shaping plant distribution as they travel. The understory. In the dim light beneath the canopy, shadows stir with life. Poison dart frogs display brilliant colors that warn predators of their toxicity. Army ants sweep through the forest in massive, coordinated raids, stirring up insects that become prey for antbirds following in their wake. The canopy high above, sunlight fuels a vibrant realm of birds, monkeys, and flowering plants. Spider monkeys leap effortlessly across branches, living almost their entire lives aloft. Three-toed sloths move slowly among the leaves, hosting entire ecosystems of algae and insects in their fur. Toucans and macaws glide between trees in flashes of color, feeding on fruits that they help disperse across the forest. The emergent layer. The tallest trees, cebus, capox, and Brazil nut giants, pierce the canopy, hosting eagles and other birds of prey. Harpy eagles, among the world's most powerful raptors, build massive nests atop these towering giants, preying on monkeys and sloths with incredible precision. Plants that shape the world. The Amazon's flora is as extraordinary as its animals. With more than 40,000 plant species, the forest is a botanical treasure. Medicinal plants. Indigenous communities have used forest plants for healing for thousands of years. From quinine, derived from cinchona trees, to ayahuasca vines used in spiritual ceremonies, the rainforest holds a vast pharmacological library. Many modern medicines trace their origins to Amazonian plants. Giant trees and forest architecture. Some Amazonian trees reach heights of 70 meters and can live for hundreds of years. Their root systems stabilize soil and regulate water flow. Epiphytes, plants that grow on other plants, such as orchids and bromeliads, create miniature ecosystems that store rainwater and shelter insects and amphibians. Fruit and flowering plants. The forest produces a stunning variety of fruits: acai, cacao, guava, and copoazu. Many species rely on specific animals for pollination or seed dispersal, forming intricate relationships essential to the forest's survival. Aquatic life, the hidden realms beneath the water. The river and its tributaries are home to more than 3,000 fish species, a number that continues to grow as new species are discovered each year. The Boto and Tucuxi dolphins. The Amazon's pink river dolphin, or Boto, is a symbol of the river's mystery. Its flexible vertebrae allow it to twist through submerged forests during flood season. The gray tucuxi dolphin, smaller and more agile, thrives in open river channels. Giants of the waters. The pirarucu, or arapaima, can exceed 3 meters in length and must surface to breathe. The piraiba catfish can weigh more than 150 kilograms. Electric eels generate powerful shocks used for hunting and defense. The piranha's reputation. While Hollywood paints them as fearsome killers, piranhas are important scavengers. Most species feed on insects, fruits, and small fish. Reptiles, amphibians, and insects. The Amazon hosts over 400 reptile species, more than 1,000 amphibian species, millions of insect species, many still unknown to science. Caimans and snakes. Black caimans, once nearly extinct, patrol the rivers at night. The green anaconda, one of the heaviest snakes on Earth, lurks in swamps and slow-moving waters, ambushing prey with immense power. Insect wonders. Butterflies with iridescent wings flash through forest clearings. Leaf-mimicking katydids blend seamlessly into foliage. Bullet ants deliver one of the most painful stings known to humans. Biodiversity under threat. Despite its richness, the Amazon's biodiversity is fragile. Habitat loss, illegal mining, pollution, and climate change threaten species every year. Some animals, like the giant otter and the uakari monkey, now survive only in isolated pockets of intact forest. Yet scientists believe that perhaps only a fraction of the Amazon's species have been documented. Deep within unexplored forests and under vast river systems, countless life forms remain hidden, waiting to be discovered. For thousands of years before European eyes ever glimpsed its waters, the Amazon River was the heart of a vibrant human world, one shaped by deep intimacy with the forest. More than 400 indigenous groups call the Amazon basin home, each with its own language, spiritual beliefs, ecological knowledge, and traditions passed meticulously through generations. To them, the river is not merely a source of food or a route of travel. It is a living being, an ancestor, a guardian, and a bridge between the physical and spiritual realms. Many Amazonian peoples believe the river was carved by mythical beings during the world's creation. In stories of the Ticuna, the Amazon was formed when Yoi, a divine cultural hero, released its waters to bring life to the land. For the Ashaninka, the river spirits govern harmony between humans, animals, and the forest. Among the Yanomami, shamanic practice connects the community to Japiripe, shimmering spirits that dwell in the mountains, trees, and river currents. Daily life is closely intertwined with the river's rhythms. Fishing, hunting, and agriculture follow seasonal floods and droughts. Floating gardens flourish along the Várzea floodplains. Canoes glide across narrow channels at dawn as traders, families, and travelers navigate an ancient waterway network older than any city in the region. Their ecological knowledge is unparalleled. Indigenous healers can identify hundreds of medicinal plants, from anti-malarial remedies to plants used for spiritual protection. Their sustainable land management techniques, such as controlled burning and forest enrichment, have shaped the Amazon's landscape for millennia. In fact, recent archaeological discoveries reveal traces of ancient urban systems, geoglyphs, raised fields, and interconnected settlements, suggesting that pre-Columbian Amazonia supported millions of people living in sophisticated environmental harmony. Yet the spiritual significance of the river is perhaps the most profound. The Amazon is viewed as a pathway of souls, a place where ancestors watch over the living. Rituals involving water, smoke, and sacred plants like ayahuasca serve as powerful gateways to the invisible world. Communities gather in malokas, large communal houses, to share stories, resolve disputes, and seek balance with nature through ceremony. This worldview, built on coexistence rather than conquest, stands in stark contrast to modern extractive pressures. To indigenous peoples, the forest and the river are not resources. They are relatives. The well-being of one is inseparable from the well-being of all. Even today, their cultures persist despite threats. Indigenous leaders are among the strongest guardians of the Amazon, standing at the front line against illegal logging, mining, and land grabbing. Their languages, songs, and cosmologies form an irreplaceable library of human knowledge. In the story of the Amazon, indigenous peoples are not simply inhabitants. They are its original historians, scientists, philosophers, and protectors. Through their eyes, the river becomes more than water. It becomes a living memory of humanity's oldest wisdom, that nature thrives when we honor it, not when we dominate it. The recorded history of the Amazon River begins with tales of mystery, fear, and wonder, told by explorers who entered a world so vast and untamed that it defied the limits of their imagination. The first Europeans, arriving in the early 16th century, believed they had stumbled into a realm of myths. Many never returned. In 1541, Spanish explorer Francisco de Orellana undertook the first known navigation of the entire Amazon River, from the Andes to the Atlantic. His journey began almost accidentally, when he was separated from Gonzalo Pizarro's expedition. With dwindling supplies, he and his men followed unknown waters eastward. They encountered sprawling forests, unfamiliar animals, and thriving indigenous civilizations. Orellana claimed to have battled tribes led by warrior women, an account that later inspired the river's name, a reference to the legendary female fighters of Greek mythology, the Amazons. His voyage marked the beginning of centuries of exploration, each expedition peeling back a layer of the Amazon's mysteries while adding new ones. During the 17th and 18th centuries, missionaries, cartographers, and adventurers ventured deeper into the basin, documenting flora and fauna previously unknown to science. Jesuit priests mapped tributaries and established mission villages. Naturalists collected specimens of plants, insects, and reptiles that astonished scholars back in Europe. One of the most influential explorers was Alexander von Humboldt, who traveled through parts of the northern Amazon in the early 1800s. His observations on climate, flora, geology, and indigenous cultures helped shape the foundations of modern ecology. He proposed that the natural world was an interconnected system, a revolutionary idea that would inspire Darwin, Wallace, and generations of scientists to come. By the mid-19th century, the Amazon had become a global curiosity. The naturalist Henry Walter Bates spent 11 years in the region, documenting thousands of species, including the evolutionary concept of Batesian mimicry. His accounts brought the wonders of the rainforest to a Western audience eager for tales of the exotic. Around the same time, the rubber boom transformed the Amazon into a frontier of wealth and exploitation. Adventurers arrived from around the world seeking fortune, while indigenous peoples suffered displacement, forced labor, and violence. Through the 20th century, technological advances ushered in a new era of discovery. Satellites revealed the river's immense scale, stretching more than 6,400 kilometers and carrying more water than any river on Earth. Aerial surveys uncovered ancient earthworks and forgotten settlements, hinting at large, complex civilizations long hidden beneath the canopy. Scientists began to understand the Amazon not as a pristine wilderness, but as a cultural landscape shaped by millennia of human presence. Today, exploration continues, not by conquest, but by curiosity. Researchers descend into flooded forests, track elusive species, and map the shifting boundaries between river and land. Archaeologists uncover new evidence that challenges old assumptions about pre-Columbian populations. Climate scientists study how Amazon rainfall cycles influence weather across continents. What began as a river of legends is now one of the most studied ecosystems on the planet. Yet despite centuries of exploration, the Amazon remains full of mysteries. Countless species are still undiscovered. Ancient societies lie buried beneath layers of soil and vegetation. And somewhere within its winding channels and towering trees The next great discovery is waiting, silent, patient, and timeless. In the modern era, the Amazon River Basin stands at a crossroads, a vast and fragile world where the pressures of human expansion, climate change, and global demand collide with one of Earth's last great sanctuaries. Though the Amazon appears boundless, it is far more vulnerable than it seems. Its ecosystems are finely tuned, interconnected, and sensitive to even the slightest imbalance. And today, that balance is being pushed to the edge. The single greatest threat is deforestation. For decades, forests have been cleared for cattle ranching, soybean cultivation, logging, mining, and infrastructure development. Each year, thousands of square kilometers of forest disappear, replaced by roads, fields, and extraction sites. The loss of trees is not just the loss of wood or shade. It represents the unraveling of an entire living system. Every tree in the Amazon plays a role in creating rain. Through transpiration, billions of leaves release moisture into the air, forming clouds that drift across the continent and return as life-giving rainfall. When forests fall, rainfall patterns weaken. Droughts become more severe. The river's seasonal cycles change. Scientists warn of a looming tipping point, a threshold beyond which the Amazon may no longer sustain itself. If deforestation reaches roughly 20 to 25% of the basin, large sections could transform into dry savannas. This would release massive amounts of carbon into the atmosphere and diminish the river's flow, accelerating global climate change. The Amazon, once a carbon sink, could become a carbon source. The river itself faces growing pressures. Illegal gold mining introduces mercury into waterways, poisoning fish, and endangering the health of indigenous communities. Overfishing, particularly in regions populated by rare species like the arapaima, threatens delicate aquatic food webs. Dams and hydroelectric projects block migration routes, fragment habitats, and alter water temperature, directly affecting the survival of countless river-dependent species. Meanwhile, wildfires, once rare in a rainforest too wet to burn naturally, now sweep across deforested and drought-stricken areas. These fires are often set deliberately to clear land, but they quickly spread into forests unprepared for flames. The smoke alters air quality across South America and disrupts local climate cycles, further stressing ecosystems that rely on humidity and cloud cover. The human cost is equally profound. Indigenous peoples and riverine communities often find themselves on the front lines of illegal logging, land grabbing, and resource exploitation. Many risk their lives defending their territories, knowledge systems, and ways of life. Their displacement represents not only a cultural loss, but the loss of guardians who have sustainably managed these lands for millennia. Yet amid these challenges, a new chapter of resilience and determination is unfolding. Around the world, momentum is growing to protect the Amazon. Governments, indigenous leaders, scientists, conservationists, and everyday citizens are working to safeguard what remains and restore what has been lost. A significant part of this effort comes from indigenous stewardship. Research consistently shows that areas managed by indigenous communities experience far lower rates of deforestation. Their ecological practices, rooted in generations of intimate observation, provide a blueprint for sustainable coexistence. Across the basin, indigenous federations and alliances are emerging stronger than ever, asserting their rights, monitoring illegal activity, and collaborating with NGOs to defend their homelands. International conservation organizations continue to play a crucial role as well. Projects that promote reforestation, biodiversity research, and sustainable agriculture are expanding. Technology is becoming a powerful ally. Satellite monitoring systems track fires and deforestation in real time. Drones and GPS devices support patrols deep in remote forests, and AI tools help identify hotspots of illegal extraction. Governments are beginning to act too, though progress is uneven. Environmental policies fluctuate with political cycles, but recent years have seen renewed commitments to reduce illegal logging, restore degraded lands, and strengthen protected areas. The creation of ecological corridors, vast connected regions that allow animals to migrate unhindered, has become a priority for long-term biodiversity preservation. Sustainable economic models are also taking root. Agroforestry systems, which blend crops with native trees, offer farmers a way to cultivate land without clearing entire forests. Sustainable harvesting of Brazil nuts, acai berries, and medicinal plants provides income while keeping trees intact. Ecotourism, when responsibly managed, offers an alternative to extractive industries by valuing the forest for what it is rather than what can be removed from it. Perhaps the most powerful conservation force of all, however, is global awareness. The world is beginning to recognize that the Amazon is not just a regional treasure, it is a planetary life support system. Its rainfall feeds agricultural regions thousands of kilometers away. Its forests store carbon critical for stabilizing the climate. Its biodiversity holds secrets that may one day cure diseases or inspire new technologies. And its cultural richness reminds us of humanity's capacity for harmony with nature. The Amazon's challenges are vast, but not insurmountable. The story of its future is being written right now by policymakers, by scientists, by indigenous guardians, by communities across the globe, and by the collective choices of individuals. Each act of protection, each restored tree, each defended territory tilts the balance toward renewal, and so the Amazon remains both a warning and a promise, a reminder of what can be lost and a testament to what can still be saved. As the sun sets over the Amazon, its waters glow gold, carrying quiet stories into the twilight. From distant mountain springs to the vast Atlantic mouth, the Amazon River flows like a living heartbeat, steady, ancient, and endlessly renewed. It has shaped worlds, sustained civilizations, and nurtured life in every form imaginable. And despite centuries of exploration and profound environmental challenges, it remains a realm of mystery, beauty, and resilience. The Amazon teaches us that nature is not separate from us. It is the foundation upon which we stand. Its forests breathe the air we breathe. Its rains feed fields far beyond its borders. Its stories, preserved by indigenous guardians and echoed through the rustling canopy, remind us that a river is not just water, but memory. As we look toward the future, the Amazon calls for respect, protection, and humility. The fate of its forests, creatures, and cultures is intertwined with our own. And though its course winds through thousands of kilometers, its journey ultimately flows into every corner of our world. The river continues, and with it, the hope that we may learn from its wisdom before the tides of time reshape it beyond recognition.